Hey everyone, Dr. Right here, and we are back with some more Magic Arena. So, let's get right to it. We're going to be looking at the white-green Ores of Majesty deck, how it works, and then the 2.0 version we've built after the fact. In this case, we're going to do a very quick deck tech just to see what we have cooking in here. We have a few copies of Novice Knight. It's a 2-3 for 1. Stats initially fantastic. However, it's a defender, can't do anything fancy until it's enchanted. We have a couple of Daybreak Champions, a 1-3 lifelinker. Initially not that great, but if you get an enchantment on it, a lifelink should hopefully pay dividends for you then. An enchantment in the forms of Knight's Pledge. Enchanted creature gets 2/2. Good way to get a Novice Knight out and swinging, potentially on turn 2 even. Greenwood Sentinel. A bear with vigilance. Same thing goes, we enchant it. Ideally, we'll be getting some value from his vigilance. Thorn Lieutenant, 2-3 for 2, so pretty valuable as far as efficiency is concerned. And if it is targeted with removal, at least we get a 1/1 green elf warrior token out of the way. Siege-Horn Ceratops, a pretty intimidating bear. If anything just does a singular damage to it, we just keep throwing counters on it. I'm not sure how often it will be triggered, but if it does, all the better. Denitha Capuchin, first strike, vigilance, lifelink, a pretty good bear, but a bit more expensive, and all aura and equipment spells cost one cheaper. So if she's out, at least all of our auras are going to be a little bit easier to play. History of Banali is probably on its own the best card we are running. It's an enchantment, not an aura, it just goes on the board. First 2 turns, it whips out a 2/2 token with vigilance, and on the third thing, anytime we have a knight that attacks that turn, it's going to be getting +2/+1. Luminous Bonds, an enchantment, another aura, base removal, so they can't attack or block. You can essentially treat the creature as it's out of the game. Oaken Form, an enchantment, 3/3, basically a more expensive but bigger version of Knight's Pledge. Satyr Enchanter, it's going to be in one of our enchanting payoffs. Whenever we play an enchantment, we draw a card, so hopefully we can get some value out of him. Johnny's Last Stand, this is a weird one, because essentially it's just going to be a 4/4 for 4, with some BS to it. In this case, whenever one of our creatures dies, we can sacrifice it, get a white avatar creature, or if there's some targeted discard for us, so let's just say we're getting some hand hate, we can discard Last Stand for the same effect. It's not that good, it's a weird one. Hieromancer's Cage, it's very similar to Luminous Bonds, but it just full-on removes the creature from play until this enchantment's removed from the game. Sarah's Wings, it's one of our bigger heavy-hitting enchantments. It gives us a bunch of keywords: vigilance, legendary, flying, lifelink, a 1/1 counter. Shalai is a good way for us to protect our creatures. She's a 3/4 for 4. Ourselves and our creatures, with the exception of Shalai, will have hexproof, and if we have excess mana to burn later on, we can put a 1/1 counter on everything. Druid of the Horns, another enchantment payoff. Whenever we cast an aura spell that would target them, we create a 3/3 beast token. Knightly Valor, just another enchantment. This one I'm a little bit iffy on. You get 2/2 in vigilance and you create a token, so at least if you get targeted with removal, you have a token left. Prodigious Growth, it's going to be our big heavy hitter. If we have something that can actually swing with this, chances are we'll just win the game flat out there. And of course, we're running our Plains Forest, Sunpetal Grove, and our 4 tap lands in the form of Tranquil Expanse. We're just going to slap on some fancy Luminous Bonds, and we are going to rock it with this deck. So let's see how our games go. Okay, so we are starting game 1 against Kathy. Let's see how this one goes. Reading both of our colors, we technically do have a 2-drop here in the form of Daybreak Champion, and I'm fine keeping this. We'll see what we draw into. If we curve out land-wise, that'll be fantastic for us. Good news, we did get one of our check lands, and we have the mana to get it in untapped. Oh, we also are going to be able to play our History of Banali on curve. That's really good for us. Looking at our creature, it's not very impressive. It looks like we're dealing with mono black of some sort here. And I think they might be holding on to a murder because they weren't doing anything, but they are holding priority. So we're going to swing in. See if opponent decides to drop it. Nope, not yet. Okay, so we will just whip out our History of Benalia. Nice when you can cast this on the curve. The double white cost can be a little bit prohibitive. What do you do here, opponent? They're gonna... Yep, they were holding a murder, so I'm glad we didn't Knight's Pledge. The question is, are they holding another murder? Because I think I'm just gonna whip out Knight's Pledge here. Nothing they have is holding priority, so now we're hitting with a 3-5 beater, which is pretty solid. In a perfect world, this human cleric would also be traded knights to get the benefit from the History of Benalia's turn 3, but nothing we can do about that. They have something that they can probably play at instant speed, so we're not necessarily going to do anything. The issue is we're dealing with, in this case, it looks like it is black-white, so they're going to have the potential to be running quite a bit of removal, which is not what we would like to see. Yep, their Vrask is contempting our Champlain here. Chaplain. I don't know why I keep saying Chaplain. Okay. And let's see. Do we do anything else here? Do we want to on Sarah's Wings? Or... I feel like we might have wanted to do that. It's very sketchy playing against this color combo, because it's very easy for them to 2-for-1 us. So they're going to play an Ajani's Welcome here. And that's it. So yeah, I feel like right now, as much as I don't like it, we're just going to swing with our 2-2 beater for now. You see, this is a little bit risky for us because our hand at this point in time is literally just enchantments. We don't have anything as far as aura-based enchantments is concerned to actually play them on. Like, thankfully, we have a Novice Knight here, which might be able to give us some benefit, but for now, I think we do just on Sarah's Wing this token. Have Vigilance, be able to block, same thing with our Novice Knight. Worst case it dies, we still have Knightly Valor and potentially Prodigious Growth turn coming up sooner than later. It is going to get murdered, sadly. Doesn't look like they're going to be swinging in, so let's just... Do we want to swing in hard? Because in this case, we are going to be swinging in for 9. I don't think we do it. I think we want a second token out just so we have a follow-up. So what I will do is Knightly Valor, our Novice Knight. Okay, very topical. Swing for a 4-5 with Vigilance. They're probably going to chop with just a singular creature here, which is fine. We do have this 2-2 Knight token. Call to the Feast, just getting another wide board here. Getting quite a bit of life gain off the Enter the Battlefield effect on Ajani's Welcome. Now, we're going to be going a little bit wide here, just for some resiliency. So this is going to become a 4-4. I'm trying to figure out how ridiculous we want to be with this. Because part of me is thinking we'll get a 4-4 out on this knight, who will summon his own knight. They could force a trade with our token here if they so chose. Doesn't look like they're going to go that route. They have a 4-4 and a 4-5 and a 2-2. So unless they have any board wipes, we're doing okay. They did finally get a Pride made out, but thankfully we've been kind of hoarding our Hieromancer's cages here. As you can see, just one turn him coming out, he's already a 5-5, which is pretty scary. So we're just going to lock him out. And let's see, option-wise, I think we still swing for everything here. We're fine with this trading with this if need be. Because right now, opponent's basically playing with an empty board. They've been able to gain a lot of life, but when we're swinging in with Prodigious Growth, I don't know how much that will save them. All depends on if they're holding a murder or not. There's the murder. Okay, I'm okay with us not using Prodigious Growth. But thankfully, we will have that this turn. So we have an 11/11 Trampler with Vigilance here. Ideally, they don't have another murder or removal. In this case, they've burnt through 3 of their murders and a Vraska's Contempt. They do have an Epicure of Blood out, which is, it's sizable. I'll give them that. What does he have here? We are just going to get rid of this Legion Lieutenant real quick. He's going to get a little bit more damage in on us here, but we are just going to be swinging as hard as we can, overly committing to a single creature. In this case, we're just hitting them with 13 damage to the face. They don't have any blockers up. They're in top deck mode. They need removal, because I don't think anything in their deck can stand up to this. Yeah, they got another 2/2 lifelinker. Come on, Kathy. Have another murder in hand. Okay, so we're not going to overcommit anymore. He's going to be double blocking. And we have the win. Perfect. If they did have removal, at least we could have gotten the Daybreak Chaplain out with Knight's Pledge. So, game 1 went pretty well for us. Glad to see that. Okay, so we're on game 2 against Gaminosaur. So let's hope we can do a recreation of what happened the first time. In this case, we have mana to cast everything on curve with the exception of Prodigious Growth. I'm fine keeping this, especially on the play. Actually misread that. It's a 4-drop versus a 3, but we can still Novice Knight into Knight's Pledge, which I'm okay with that turn. Hopefully they don't have removal, but let's see what we can do with a 4/5 beater on turn 2. There's worse cards. So we're dealing with red something or other. Good news with that, if they're playing red, they might not have the actual removal here to deal with a knight once it gets this big. At this point, I think priority is being held with a singular shock. And at a 4/5, they're going to have to 2-for-1 themselves to remove it, like with a shock and lightning bolt or something of the sort. So basically, the bigger this knight gets, the better for us. It does play into the overcommitting to a singular creature, but see how this goes. They have Zuta Goblins, so it's going to be a 3/3. They are tapped out, so there's no reason for us not to swing with our knight here. We are going to get our Siegehorn Ceratops out. It's not going to be a good blocker for the Goblin, but at least we can play that on curve. It's probably just going to eat a shock here. Now, do you have a shock lightning bolt? It's looking like that might be the case. Okay, no, they actually had Domri's Ambush. So let's see, what do we have here? We can give our Ceratops 3/3, which is fine for the time being, because this makes it a 5/5 beater. And their HP is getting pretty low. I'd love to draw into some mana, because if we can give this thing flying and even just an additional counter, I think we will be okay. They can potentially use Domri's Ambush again to get rid of our Ceratops, which is a shame. I'm going to swing in for 5. Now, our ideal top deck is a land, doesn't matter which. Not what I want, but a playable. Okay. They're getting a surprising amount of value out of this Goblin here. I wasn't expecting this much removal from a Gruul deck, to be honest. Now let's see, what keeps this? Oh boy, that's an Ilharg, okay. So this land might be a case of too little too late, potentially. Trying to figure out what gives us the win. We on Sarah's Wings here. We get a 3/3 flyer with lifelink, vigilance. That'll bump us to 13, deal 3 damage to them. Potentially, it all depends on if they have removal or not, because right now they have 11 damage on board, not including whatever creature cards they would have in hand. I'm trying to figure out here. Druid of Horns doesn't really do anything but chump. I think we just have to on Sarah's Wings here. Didn't happen this turn, But essentially, we're going to have to survive this turn that they play, draw into another aura that would buff us over the 3/3 we're sitting at now. And that's just assuming they don't have lethal on board. If they have a single creature in hand, it's Gruul. They probably do. Because right now they're going to have 11 going to my face, plus the 5 from God Eternal Ronus. Okay, so this is just the end of the game for us. So, you know what? If we're going to lose, I'm okay with us going out with a big bang here. Just a shame they had that much removal to start, but not too bad, not too bad. Alrighty, now that we have a couple games under our belt, we're going to be looking at Auras of Majesty 2.0. In this case, I did continue on with the Aura theme. I don't think it's necessarily the best archetype you could be playing, but I figured if you want to play with auras, here's a decent way to do so, at least in my opinion. Now, it didn't happen too much, and we were able to avoid it in the first game, at least losing too much value in that regard, but we're in a format with a lot of sweepers, a lot of single target removal, exile effects, the works. So I figured kind of an important thing, especially when we are at risk of having multiple auras on a single creature, is keeping that creature alive. So I tried to stay with some creatures that have some immunity to at least removal in some way, shape, or form. Exception to that being our Novice Knight, we're running 4 of. Same thing, it's a 2/3 defender. At its worst, it can chump block some of the mono red weenies, white weenies, all that fun stuff. Adanto Vanguard is back. In this case, if we load this creature up with a bunch of auras and they just try to nuke it, it's fine. We can pay 4 life. It'll be okay unless it's an exile effect. Same thing, if we give it lifelink, the paying 4 life isn't a real big deal. Running some seal aways, some instant speed interaction just to deal with some of the more aggressive creatures, big boys, the works. Squire Devotion, going to give our creature lifelink. Also going to create a 1/1 token, so think of it very similar to the other aura we were running. Another way, but in this case it gives us lifelink, which I find a little bit more valuable than Vigilance, especially with our Adanto Vanguard, much better on attack than on defense. And then token's a bonus just in case the creature does get removed. Oaken Form we're keeping in, it's 3/3, stats for 3, it's not too bad. Running 4 of the Enchanter, we need some payoff, something to keep our Aura engine running. A Conclave Tribunal, might want to run more of, I haven't figured out the right number, but we're going to have a decent amount of creatures on the board. Another enchantment to proc our Enchanter, the works. Onsair's Wings lets us swing over. We're running Tushalize just to give us a little bit more survivability. Vinemare's a cool card. It's a 5/3 for 4 with hexproof. That's what we're largely playing it for. If we are dealing with black creatures, can't be blocked. So at least against specific decks, it'll be unblockable. Carnage Tyrant's a big beater, can't be countered, has trample, has hexproof. We whip a prodigious growth on this bad boy, we could win the game just with that. On lands, we're running 4 Temple Gardens, 4 Sun Petal Groves, Forest Plains. Of course, if you don't have it, you can use the standard tap lands, but playing things on curve might be a little bit harder for you then. Yeah, but that's it. Nothing too crazy. And let's just see how this deck goes. Okay, so our first game with our revamped version is going to be up against Marzil 23 or Marzi 123. So we have a Temple Garden, which we can shock in for Novice Knight. Have a Seal Away. We're not hitting we're running a little bit expensive here, but I have faith we will draw what we need. Maybe, potentially. We're drawing a land, which is nice. They are playing a Hallowed Fountain first, so we're potentially dealing with control over an Esper mid-range. There's a lot of things we could be playing up against still. Esper of some sort. They're shocking something in. We're getting our mind raised, which is never a fun feeling. They are, let's see, what are they going to get here? The only playable we're going to have for a while is Squire's Devotion, so I figure they might just get rid of that. Or the Vinemare. If they're getting rid of the Vinemare, I'm expecting a bit more of a mid-range playstyle from our opponent here, but I only think that because if they are running creatures that are, of course, black in coloration, they're not going to be too keen on letting us just run through with unblockable damage. Now I'm a little concerned here. I think they can't counter it with a singular blue open, I believe, but they can mortify it. So again, this is just going to be showing our weakness here to any removal suite. Clearing the mind, drawing a card, shuffling their library, getting a land out of the deal. In this case, we didn't hit the land drop we needed, and we really need that 4th land to get our Vine Mare out or our Shalai. At this point, they're just able to gas out with Chemist's Insight, draw some cards, find more answers to deal with our shenanigans. So what we will do is just get our Vine Mare out because it is hexproof, and hopefully they won't have just a sweeper effect to get rid of it now. That's why they're main phasing their insights, because they got to hit their land drops, they got to find a sweeper, they got to find a way to deal with this. Let's see, this gives us 1/1 and a token. Right now, I think we have to take advantage of the fact that they don't seem to have a sweeper effect. We're just going to play Oakenform on it, so it's going to be an 8/6. So this is a very intimidating creature for opponent here. They basically need a sweeper in here, so they're looking for a Kaya's Wrath. That's their out here. They happen to have it, which good for opponent. Let's see. At least this place, we can just whip out our Shalai. We are hoping to draw into a couple lands just to get a Carnage Tyrant out. Downside with Shalai is very sensitive to a whole lot of things. It can be directly removed, all on its own. And especially with our opponent playing Teferi and being able to untap, they might have a Mortify or something of the sort. Now let's see, how do we get rid of this Teferi here? Or do we? We're in a part where even if we do buff our Shalai with this, it becomes a 4/5, we get them down to 6. And then potentially we have them on the next turn if we swing in with our token. I think that might be where we're at. They are potentially holding up a counterspell, or they have removal of some sort. If they do have removal, I think we're just going to have to scoop. Do you only have insights? Okay. And apparently I'm bad at math, because this still won't give us lethal on the next turn. 2, 3, 4. So we are going to be a little bit dependent on us drawing another aura, them not having a kick or a sweeper this turn. They have Liliana, which they're probably going to down tick to get us to sack 2 creatures. Yeah, that's the game, sadly. I think we're going to have to scoop here. Going to hit our opponent with the good game to be polite. And we're just going to scoop it up. So let's see if we can perform just a little bit better on our next turn. Or next game, rather, to be specific. Okay, so in this game, we are up against Matsanu. So let's hope this game goes a little bit better for us. We do have some options. We could Novice Knight turn 1. I'm okay with this. Because what we can do is we Shotgun Garden. We have a decent blocker out. All depends on what they're playing. I'm not too concerned yet. If nothing else, this blocks decently well. Everything else we have comes in untapped. So we're going to be able to whip out our Adanto here. That's going to be the end of our turn. So what does opponent have going on for them right now? They're whipping out a Kiora. That's going to have 7 loyalty on it. I don't see a way for us to get rid of that as it stands. But we do have a seal away, so whatever they do end up getting out of their Kiora, be it ramp, with the exception of potentially a Planeswalker, we will be able to seal away if they decide to swing in with it. And that will also get us a card draw off the Satyr Enchanter. So that is a Bolus the Ravager. So what are we going to drop right now? They get a free card draw. We're going to get rid of this Novice Knight here. Let's see, just play another Forest. And we're going to pretend we don't want to swing into it just because we're big scared babies. Hold up the seal away. Oh, that's definitely a problem. In this case, they're going to see the Sealoy coming. At this point, that's frustrating, because they definitely just top-decked into that Thought Erasure, or else that would have happened turn 2. So what do you have, opponent? Because now that you've kind of tied our hand a little bit, you're going to be ramping into something. What do you get rid of with 3 mana? Satyr Enchanter's probably your best bet. Definitely gasses me out. Shame. We really could have used that card draw. Opponent is 1 land drop away from actually flipping his Bolus because he has the 5 here and the untap from Kiora. So now is the time for us just to start swinging. Basically, our Vanguard's a 6/4. The opponent might just have another Bolus in hand if he's willing to make this trade. Get our Novice Knight out. Doesn't really do anything for us. He could have a sweeper, though. He might have just played into a sweeper mistakenly. But, yeah, he did have another Bolus, so at least we're not just going to lose the card. Now, what we are looking for is some sort of interaction to get rid of Bolus here. Because, like I said, even if he doesn't get his next land drop, he will be able to flip him. He does want to be holding 3 mana for some reason. Another Bedevil. It's a destroy effect. Annoyingly enough, we need our Danto to live. We're going to pay the cost. Get Squire Devotion out to give it lifelink and at least a vampire token out of the deal. So essentially, we are going to be lifelinking for 7 this turn, no matter what happens. Like I said, we are a little bit concerned because he is going to be able to flip Bolus this turn. That is a problem for us, but in this case, it can only do it can draw cards, which not for nothing, that is scary. I don't like that, but the damage it can do to us, that's about all it got. It can smack our Danto for the 10 damage, which can't kill it. If we get another enchantment, we can kill him with Novice Knight. So this flip the bullets doesn't mean we're out of the game yet. He is going to be able to refill his hand. So potentially, if we draw into an aura this turn, I think we got him. Not for nothing, we can also just kill Bolus. So depending on this top deck, we can just remove Bolus, I believe. This will bring him up to 9 loyalty. We have 5, 6, 7. Nah, won't be quite there yet. But at least we can give all of our things that. And he needs -12 to basically win the game. This is a swing for 7, 8. Begrudgingly, I think we just swing for the Bolus here. We won't have lethal this turn. We'll have it next turn, and this stops him from doing the -3. Or rather, the -4. Because that way he could get just another chump blocker in the form of his Bolus the Ravager out. Not to say the draw 2 isn't an issue. His hand can be full of sweepers or any other terrifying nonsense, but at least our Danto survives everything except exile effects. So as long as it's not a Vraska's Contempt, at least our Danto will survive. Ideally, Shalai lives and we have lethal in the next swing, but come on, opponent, don't have anything. Let my Swolodanto carry me to victory over this flipped Bolus. Okay, that's a bit of a bummer. He's going to heal up a little bit. He only has 3 mana available to him, though, so at least we can get rid of this Bolus. Never mind, he has a chump blocker in our way. Let's see, can we get flying? What can we get to kill this bulleye? He's untapping to get 2 mana available to him. Oh, perfect. As long as it's not a counter spell, our Novice Knight will be able to attack now. As a 3/4, Bolas is sitting at 3 loyalty. We're going to be gaining a whole slew of life here. So let's see what opponent wants to do. May as well get the damage in with our 1/1. He might use the Diviner with Kiora just to get some card draw going, but he just can't protect his Bolas. Okay, he's going to Carnival our 1/1. I'm not too concerned about that. The Carnage effect's not going to be getting him anything either way. So he's doing the smart thing. He is keeping his Soul Diviner up. He won't have that opportunity the turn after this. Will he tap it? Okay, he does. Gonna untap it to get another card draw out. Will he just dump his Kiora? He's fishing. He's fishing in his deck that he's almost halfway through, by the way, for some kind of answer here. Getting a card draw out of the Phoenix. That's the scary combo he kind of has with Phoenix going on, by the way. Every time it dies, it creates an egg, essentially. When it's an egg, when it comes back, it would trigger another Kiora card draw proc. So what we are looking for... That's another Bolas. Okay. This game's going on longer than I like to see. So we are going to get our Vine Mare out here. What safe swings do we have? Okay, so he's not going... we got to get damage through somehow. In this case, he's very likely to trade the Fiend... I don't know what he's going to do here. I feel like our right call here is swinging. Yeah, I guess that's the smarter block, huh? Should have thought of that one. Vanguard live, that's fine, whatever. Bolas lives. Yeah, that was a questionable attack on my end for sure. Did not think that one through. Let's see. More likely than not, he's going to attack with the Bolas and flip it. Can technically suck up one of the counters on the Bolas with Soul Diviner just for more card draw. Yeah, this is our issue. We really got to get our trample on. Adanto's big and resilient, and I think with the exception of Vraska's Contempt can eat... Yeah, that's okay. We're fine. Does he have another Cry of the Carnier? He does, okay. So we are just going to be left with Adanto Vanguard for now. He does exile his entire board, though. Ooh, that's a shame. In this case, it's forcing us to make the actual sacrifice here. So even if we made him indestructible, would not matter. So we're both in top deck mode. In this case, good for us. We have Vine Mare, which is resilient, survives Cry of the Carnarium, can't be targeted by single target removal. He's going to Thought Erase us. We have an empty hand, but it allows him to scry, giving him the chance to hopefully find something that works for him. Hey, we're going to just hope we can swing and just keep swinging. I don't know how I feel about his play there. The double Cry wiping his board seemed questionable. He might have another Angrath here. He's looking at Vine Mare. Has Hexproof. He's hitting us with the GGs. Oh, and we won it. Okay, that game went on longer than I'm comfortable with, but we pulled it off, guys. Whew, that was stressful. We didn't make that misplay, but thankfully we weren't punished for it. But, yeah, I think I'm going to call it after this one, another late night recording session. But for now, I'm Dr. It. Thanks so much for watching. I don't think the Aura archetype is good, but goddamn, is it not fun just to have a giant life-linking Adanto. But yeah, catch y'all next time. Bye for now, everybody!